like, what have we gotten ourselves into? It's episode 2. I'm already like, there's so much to talk about. Whoa, and I'm so excited for this episode, too.
I am pumped for this episode, you guys.
Like,
I
just need to say it, but like, I'm just kind of proud of us. Like,
I'm really proud of us.
We have gotten cool people. Well, Anna was cool.
Yeah, Anna was dope.
We're cool, obviously.
We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't.
True. And today's guest is badass.
Yeah.
And some of the future people that we have on the calendar.
Yeah, we have.
Are cool too. So I'm just like excited. This is awesome. I'm super appreciative of our people that are out there listening and watching. And some of you guys do both, which is like insane to me that you want to hear us talk that much.
My cousin snaps me that my big funny mug is on his TV.
Yeah, I've had some people send us photos
for it.
of our faces on their TVs, and it's pretty cool. So, thanks you guys for just like being a part of our conversations and for letting us yak at you and think that we know what we're talking about.
Now just tell us what you want us to talk about.
Yeah. Actually, that's a great point because that's why we're on social media, to not only connect with you guys and like give outlets so that you can hear us and watch us and listen to the interviews that we have, but also because it's a big wide world of sports out there, and sometimes we miss things. And honestly, I'm just gonna like preface the whole interview and just straight up say that like I don't have anything from MLB to share today. Just because like, I didn't really catch any big news across the week or any big like culture related stories that caught my eye. So again, that's where our listeners and our watchers and our supporters come in, you guys. So seriously, we like seriously mean it when we say if you see a story, if you see a link, if you know somebody that's involved in a story that is revolving around sports and the culture, or the analysts and the broadcasters, and of course we mean like, of course, Anna Simon's rugby. There's other sports out there, boxing, MMA, tennis, golf. There's all sorts of stories out there that we want to kind of be a part of the discussion for. So if there's anything that you guys see or hear, just drop us a link, drop us a message. Let us know, because we really want to talk about what you guys kind of want us to talk about, and it's also kind of like a cool opportunity for you guys to like kind of
dictate what,
control the show. Tell us what to do. If you know me, that's like an oxymoron even.
Yeah.
In general. When have you ever heard me tell somebody to tell me what to do?
You don't want me to answer that question.
I don't think I've ever told somebody to tell me what to do. Usually it's a big old fuck you. Yeah.
Yep.
I am not afraid to admit that at all. So tell us what to do.
Tell us what to do. Not so much what to do, what to talk about. Don't tell me what to do. Tell me what to talk about.
There we go. We'll settle for that.
I'd like to talk. I like to talk a
I'll
lot.
yak all day. If you give me something to talk about, I can yak for a while on it. I mean,
I can go forever.
Here we are. So let us talk. Let the women talk.
One of the reasons we started this, I think, is because we're professional talkers. So.
I, in middle school, once got voted most talkative, so.
I was a social butterfly, but I was real respectful in class.
My middle school friends are not surprised that I have a podcast at all, let me just tell you that.
She's so quiet and respectful. Except for my English teacher, Mr. Miller. I wasn't quiet in that class. We talked hunting all the time.
That's why we're friends, because opposites attract, and I get you going, so.
Yeah, we do sometimes.
Well, good thing, because we have a lot to talk about today. There's holy sports this week, you guys.
Board is full up of all the topics
Yeah, our
Not
cue
today.
board behind the camera that I write us so that we have our topics and
We don't
know
usually
what to
stay on
talk
track,
about.
but we try.
Yeah. If you think that we were just going off of memory, you're sorely mistaken. Let's just say that right off the bat.
Oh, no, they
I
know
know
me too well.
I know that like the people that typically watch are like maybe they can like see us like looking off camera and they're like, oh, maybe they're looking at something that helps them like know what to talk about next or whatever. You're right, we are. But the people that just listen think that we're just like, I had somebody tell me like they love that we just kind of like naturally get off topic because there's I guess a lot of podcasts out there that like strictly stay on topic and it's not really like natural.
Yeah, no, I've had that comment a lot. Actually, that's one of the biggest ones that I've gotten back is this.
So thanks for thinking that about us because we're just random and yes, we like I said, it's a cue board. I'm just literally writing topics and we go through them. So the commentary is legit commentary. It is off the top.
Yeah, as if we're watching live on the TV.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of live, we went live on Periscope for our first time.
That was a disaster.
All about it.
That was a disaster. We won't get into that. Let's not get into it. Thank you, next. Duke loses to Louisville. Taylor.
Oh, my boy.
What happened?
You know, it was a tough game. Duke has struggled a little bit.
I didn't watch it. I'm just gonna.
You know, I'm gonna get grilled for even being a Duke fan when I say this, but I don't know if Trey Jones played that game. He has been out recently with some injuries.
Mm-hmm.
He's their starting point guard. And if he didn't play that game, obviously that's a huge contribution. But I am, again, so I'm not up on whether or not he played. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I'm just going off of stats and updates and things like that. But I was actually getting tattooed during the game and got the notification that they lost right when my tattoo got over and was so upset. And so since they lost, I didn't even really bother to like pay attention to highlights or anything.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, but then I forgot who they played. They lost, or they won the game right after that. So they're doing okay. I think they're ranked 8th right now. I think Duke is after that Louisville loss. Oh, Louisville.
I thought you said it already.
Oh! I thought of something, and I owe Baylor women's basketball team a huge apology because in episode 1 I said that South Carolina was last year's champion, and they are not. Baylor is. So I wanted to
wouldn't have even caught that.
I said that because that was a big whoopsie on my part. But again, back to the whole part about it's really live commentary off the top. I was legitimately speaking about who I believed at the time to have been last year's champion, and I was wrong. Quote that because that's rare. I legit just said I was wrong out
just
loud.
about to say that same thing.
So, anyways, moving on. The Lakers beat the Rockets.
Yes.
And in the last episode, I had to apologize to my girl Yella because my Blazers beat the Rockets. And she's a huge Rockets fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not apologizing this time, Yella. I'm sorry. I called it. I said it. It's on film. It's on audio. Go check it if you don't believe me. I got it right. And, you know, as a Blazers fan, I hate to admit it, but the Lakers are on a roll right now. There's some people out there saying that they think the Lakers and the Clippers are going to be the Western Conference Final game. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that either one of those teams will be in it, but I don't know if it will be against each other.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But I was right on my prediction, so I just wanted to state that for y'all.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Oregon State women's basketball team lost to Stanford by 3 points. It was so sad upset. Their girls fought so hard. Again, another game I didn't catch. I did happen to catch a couple highlights of it on SportsCenter, but man, Oregon State. You know, I obviously love it when Oregon does well.
Yes.
But like I've said before, I love to see them both doing great at the same time. Earlier in the season, I was kind of shit posting, as they say.
You're real good at that.
Hey, now.
That's not a diss. That's not. I'm learning from you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's a compliment.
Settle
Okay.
down.
But I was kind of shit posting on the fact that Oregon and Oregon State women's basketball team were both ranked. Like, when is the last time a team or a state has had like their two major, you know, your state and your, you know,
Your men and your women?
Men and your women, but also the two, you know, the top two schools.
Your two state.
Yeah, your two state schools in your state being ranked in the top 10. I mean, that's pretty rare, especially for women. So I was definitely, like I said, I was shit posting, kind of talking shit on other people in other states about that. So, like I said, Oregon and Oregon State, it's exciting to see them both doing good at the same time. So
yeah.
If you are an Oregon fan and you can't root for Oregon State, then please don't come shit talking to me, because I do not want to hear it.
That's like NDSU and UND growing up. I mean, now what are they? They're like they're like the Eagles or something. I don't even. They're always gonna be the Fighting Sioux to me.
Right.
They're always gonna be the Fighting Sioux.
Okay, that's what
always
you said.
gonna be. Anyways,
that's like
that's how it was.
The Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and you can't call them the Devil Rays anymore because devil is
bad. But doesn't Florida have a school, the Seminoles?
Yes.
Or something? Like, how is that? I don't politics.
Florida's crazy.
Whatever.
It's Florida.
Politics.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the Oregon State rivalry, whatever you have.
Right.
It's really similar to what the UND, NDSU, the Bison Sioux, Bison Sioux rivalry was growing up. It was always, I grew up going to the women's and men's basketball games. We had season tickets with my mom, and whenever the Sioux were in town, we were always there early. We sessions early, got to our seats early. It was always a spectacle. They had a great halftime show.
Yeah.
You know it, and then if either of them, usually it was NDSU, but if either of them advanced through the playoffs,
right.
And one got knocked out, it was
you got to root for the one that's
cheer
going.
For the one that's
going. Yeah,
It was
totally.
never really a question.
Totally.
I mean, no matter how much it burned your soul to be a Bison fan.
Even if it was the opposite. Yeah. I agree. So, if you guys like this conversation, you have to stay tuned till the end of the episode, because we're going to be making some predictions that kind of go along with this. So, we'll table that and come back to it.
Put it on the back burner.
But obviously, we concluded the AFC and NFC playoff games, and somebody in this room went 0 for 2 on their picks, and it wasn't me.
I mean, like, I told you that the Titans weren't gonna win, but I wanted to see them win. But honestly, it didn't. I couldn't.
You knew
care
they weren't
less.
gonna win. You wanted to see them win, but you still said on
I mean, I don't give a fuck.
air that
whatever. Anyways,
so technically they were your prediction, and technically you were wrong.
Whatever. I'm wrong all the time. So why is this any news? I am still just giddy over the fact that Tom Brady and his Pats.
This is true. This is still something
I just can't get over it. I cannot get over it.
I feel like no matter at this stage in the game with like the Niners and the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, I feel like everybody's fans agree that they're happy the Pats aren't in it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the number one thing I've seen over all of social media, and anybody bitching or
except
cheering
for Pats fans.
Yeah, well, Pats fans haven't said shit, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. They haven't said shit. But also, Seahawks fans. They're so quiet. Seahawks fans and the Pats fans must be sitting together right now at the end of the season, sitting on the same couch, watching at the same TV. Oh man.
told you who was gonna win.
Well, yeah, we agreed.
Our guest is gonna give some insight into that today.
This is true. Yeah.
But 46 seconds. I paid $70 to watch that shit.
I made guacamole to watch that shit.
I made a taco bar. I made crack dip.
That was when we went live, and then FYI, I got banned off Periscope for 6 hours for going live during the McGregor show, and the fucking shit was on my face more than it was on the TV. So much so that the 400-some people that were on the Periscope broadcast were like, "Turn it on the TV! Turn it on the TV!" Before the fucking fight even started. I'm like, you guys are dumb. There's nothing on the TV to watch. But people are...
And, like, I mean, at least the Holm fight went the whole, it went the entirety, but...
Yeah.
It wasn't exciting.
Well, those shoulder punches...
Yeah, those ouch.
I mean, that's what ended the fight. Like...
Well, no. I don't think that it was shoulder punches. It was
the kick ended the fight.
It was the kick.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The kick ended the fight. But those shoulder punches are what slowed him to land the kick.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, his nose started bleeding on, like, the second one.
Yeah, did you watch his post-fight interview at all?
Probably.
No.
The eye was huge.
It was huge, yeah.
Oh, McGregor hugged Cowboy's grandma, though. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes.
Let's pause all fight talk just to talk about McGregor hugging Cowboy's grandma. Because all you guys are out there saying that McGregor is classless and he's this and he's that, and you're wrong. Because I want to know, Khabib definitely wouldn't hug his opponent's grandma.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I think
punched his opponent.
I think Jose Aldo wouldn't hug his opponent's grandma.
Yeah.
I think that even over in the boxing circuit, I don't think Manny Pacquiao would hug his opponent's grandma.
I think Tim Johnson might.
Tim Johnson might. He might hug his opponent's grandma. I don't know, but
It was a classy move, and it wasn't just like a pat on the back. It was
embraced her.
That was like a 30-second. That was a grandma embrace. That was I cried. I got tears like a baby back bitch. Like, I'm not even gonna lie about it. That was so sweet.
Yeah, it was nice.
So sweet.
It was nice. So all of you guys out there that say that McGregor is a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, I think the difference too is that there was no animosity between the two of them. Like, they were kind of like there was no beef. There was literally no drama between them.
Speaking of beef, did I hear a rumor that Dana White is dumb enough to put Khabib and McGregor in the same arena again?
Yeah.
Nothing's confirmed. Disappointed. So disappointed.
I'm here to tell you it's all allegations still.
It's all hearsay. But is it logically that... don't they have to fight each other to get their belts back?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. It came across ESPN on Sunday morning. It came across ESPN Sunday morning on my phone. I woke up to a message. It says, Dana White says in an interview McGregor to fight Khabib.
Okay.
Again, that'll be the next fight.
Okay.
No date's been set. I couldn't find a date. I couldn't find even scuttlebutt of a date when it was going to be. Okay. So, as far as we know, it's just talk that Dana wants the two to fight again. I'm assuming because Conor is going to put up a hissy fit until he gets a title fight. He's going to refuse until he gets a title fight.
Yeah. Oh.
The thing about, it's frustrating. Like,
I just see all mayhem happening again. Like, someone's gonna die.
Like, if we thought that there was animosity and tension, like, between the, Diaz 1 and Diaz 2 and how that came about and the tension there, like, if you didn't watch the McGregor-Khabib fight and everything that unfolded after, like, before and after,
yeah.
ESPN Plus right now has a really great, it's like a 30-minute little clip actually about the whole thing. Like, it kind of breaks it down. Yeah, a video summary of everything that happened. And so, like, highly suggest go watch it.
Go check it out.
Go check it out. Because
go check it out.
That's just mind-blowing. God. Like, some of it looks staged. Like, how he flew his boys and himself from Ireland to come throw a dolly through a bus window.
Yep, knowing that Khabib and his
that he was going to be on it.
It's amazing. Conor McGregor is an idiot. God. Oh.
And the cat is back again.
God.
And your strikes again.
Gosh. She was such a staple. She just wants to be talked about on the podcast. She's like, you guys.
She's the mascot.
She hasn't even. Oh my God. Never mind. We're not going to pay her any attention. That's what we're not going to do. Well.
But yeah, that's the dirty little secret we heard roaming around right after the fight. I haven't really heard anything since, so I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's fighting. I literally haven't heard anything.
Well, we know that if McGregor and Khabib fight again, it's going to be a really exciting event.
I mean, somebody better call CSI because
True.
I think there's going to be some blood spilled.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I guess we should just get into, like, the news of the episode because there is a lot of news, like I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
There is so much to cover. I've been getting messages from people left and right, like, are you going to talk about this on the pod? Are you going to talk about this on the pod? Yes. Yeah. The answer is yes.
Got that.
Yeah.
But also, keep sending it.
Yeah, keep sending it because we need the ideas.
Even if you say yes, that doesn't mean don't send me stuff.
Yeah, like
that's
just yes, I'm going
noted,
to talk
yes,
about it. Yeah. But a few big things in the NBA. Obviously, we have my guys, the Portland Trail Blazers. They actually just played their first game tonight as we're recording, like literally, like I think the fourth quarter just ended like 10 minutes ago. But Portland traded Ken Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver and 2 second-round picks to Sacramento for Trevor Ariza, Wayne Gabrielle, and Caleb Swanigan, who Caleb Swanigan actually got drafted by Portland in 2017. So he's actually returning to Portland.
So they played the first game, like,
they
post-trade.
played their first game, yes,
Post-trade,
exactly.
okay.
Post-trade, first
Just to
game
clarify.
tonight as we're recording, which is a different day than you guys are hearing this, obviously.
Well, now they know what day it is.
Well,
If
you go and look back at the
attention.
Blazers and you pay attention to what game those guys or what day those guys played that game,
do your homework.
maybe we'll do a pop quiz and ask you guys what day you think we record. That's at a later date, though. But yeah, so that happened. Like I said, played their first game tonight. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I wasn't a little sad to see Baze and Tolliver go. Both of those guys have been producing pretty good recently. But it's the name of the game. I mean, we all know this is what it is. We talked last week about the February 6th trade deadline, meaning anything could happen. Like I said, there's still rumors of Kuzma leaving LA. There's all kinds of different rumors floating out there, and this was kind of one of those things, like when I got it, like the ESPN update on my phone was like, what? Like, this is just the beginning. So, honestly, I don't think Portland is done yet trading.
Breakdown. So I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't understand or know much about this whole trade thing. Like, I get drafts. I understand what happens there. But like trade like this, like season already started,
right?
But now they're trading players.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like in the NFL. So the season starts, you have a trade deadline, and from up until that point, players can move.
Okay,
transactions can be made.
So basically, they're like Monopoly pawns.
Yeah.
All right, building a house here and a hotel there.
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. Like I said, there's a lot still to come. February 6th is just like a week and a half or so away.
That's the deadline.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be more to be seen as far as NBA player movement goes. So definitely curious to see what goes on there. Speaking of player movement, Zion Williamson had his first regular season debut. We saw him play in Summer League, and we saw him play a little bit in preseason before that knee injury and knee surgery. But he was out for about three months, just over 3 months. Had his first game last night with the Pelicans and scored 22 points. 17 of those points were in the fourth quarter. Guy went off and was 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. That's actually more 3-point shots than he made in his career at Duke.
Wow.
So, definitely exciting to see that performance from Zion, especially for his first game back from an injury.
That's great.
Obviously, you have the, first game regular season debut as a rookie. And, I think, honestly, he is still in the Rookie of the Year conversation. John Morant has just been...
I saw something pop up about...
stellar recently, but I do think that Zion can be in the Rookie of the Year conversation if he keeps playing games like he played in his season debut. So it will be curious to see what pans out with that Rookie of the Year conversation. There's a couple other people. I think Kendrick Nunn over at the Miami Heat might be in the conversation too. But I am actually going to do a video on my personal page about the Rookie of the Year conversation. So definitely look out for that. And we'll be linking it on the podcast page and all that stuff too. So,
moving forward a little bit, tell me about this Chandler Parsons car accident.
Oh my God, the poor guy. He's had so many knee injuries in his playing career, and he's finally at a healthy spot playing for the Atlanta Hawks, and gets in this car accident. He was hit by a drunk driver, which...
So it's not even his fault.
Don't drive drunk.
Exactly.
You guys.
Stupid.
What the fuck are you thinking? Don't drive drunk, please. And then you take out this perfectly capable, very talented individual, and he's having pretty serious injuries. I know he got a concussion. There's a few other injuries that he sustained in that accident, and they're pretty much career-ending injuries for him.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of what you touched on earlier when we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sad, and definitely want to kind of bring a little bit of attention to that whole LeBron conversation about how it's more, it's more than basketball. This is these are real life people, real life things happen to them.
No, yeah, exactly.
Obviously being talented and making a lot of money and playing for the Atlanta Hawks, obviously a very prestigious organization. It does not nullify you from things like this happening, and it's obviously mind blowing, but super sad at the same time.
It's really sad. Really sad.
So I just wanted to stop and talk on that for a second because, like I said, it's a little bit more of a cultural aspect, and like I said, the more than basketball thing too.
And it's on a personal level for them. It's
really personal.
Your career is being ended.
It's in somebody else's hands.
Exactly. You didn't have any say. You didn't. That's mind-boggling.
It's maddening to me.
Yeah.
It's infuriating to me, and it didn't happen to me. So
yeah.
I can only imagine how somebody like Chandler Parsons would feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an incredible basketball player. Obviously, has had a pretty stable career as an athlete and basketball player, and I just think that's a super sad way for anybody's career to end.
So sad for anybody's career to end like that.
And
especially coming off the heels of so many injuries and being finally at such a healthy place.
Yep.
And
Yep.
getting into his groove a little bit.
And also, I think anybody can agree that to have your career ended off the court, let alone being the decision not being in your hands to begin with,
off the court,
I have to get injured off the court.
Yeah.
It couldn't even been while I was playing. I'm sure that
terrible.
aspect of it is super frustrating in and of itself. So, oh man, my heart just goes out to the guy. So I just kind of, like I said, I wanted to stop and talk about that for a second because I think it deserves a little bit of conversation, and he deserves a little bit of conversation because this is definitely not the way he should be going out.
No.
If it is the end for him. And so, just want to give the guy some props and some kudos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on the other end of health and more than basketball, Delonte West, man. So I guess it all started where some homeless people were in a physical altercation and he was the victim. And then a police officer was speaking to Delonte West, who was sitting on a curb, about the incident and actually filmed it and put it on social media. Really bad look. The cop was put on leave for posting the video, which I think was an appropriate move. I think that's absolutely a violation of ethics when it comes to being a police officer, as far as, whether victim or criminal or anything like that. Other than like a body cam or anything that's necessary to you doing your job or is required equipment by your precinct, that is not appropriate. That goes along with doctors taking pictures of their patients in the operating rooms and things like that. It's not okay.
I mean, there's a side to that where, like, obviously you're gonna have exceptions. You're gonna have, like, different things going along with it. I don't want to get, like, hate from, whoa, what about a scenario like this? What about a scenario like that? Whatever.
I mean, there's judgment call.
Exactly,
like,
judgment call.
Like, come on. And also, if it was any other homeless person besides somebody who was so high profile and then was having this, like, very terrible falling from grace moment, and phase, I guess you would say, it's not okay to, like, I guess, like, essentially blackmail him in that moment, and then put it on social media, which I guess the only good thing that, like, could even come of that is the fact that it drew so many people's attention to not only the fact that Delonte needs help, but the fact that, again, this is more than basketball. Just because you have been in this role, had this job, worked for this team, played this game, like all of those things, it doesn't mean that you are exempt from dealing with really real life things. But it sounds like there are a lot of players and obviously his ex-teammates and coaches and things like that are trying to reach out and get in touch with Delonte's family and friends and kind of help him through that situation, whether it's getting him, I don't know, obviously the situation, I can't speak to what's going on, but whether that's drug help or mental help or both,
I would have to assume probably a little bit.
Those things are being offered to him, so hopefully he is, can swallow his pride enough to take those things from the people that love him enough and care about him enough to talk about it. So obviously kind of heavy on the tail end of that NBA conversation, but I feel like those topics need a little bit of recognition, a little bit of conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously the glamorous side and the exciting side of sports and the, Dame 61-point game and all of those things. Those are exciting to talk about. But again, it's more than a game. These people, these athletes are more than athletes. They're people and real things happen to them. So hopefully, just in a nutshell, hopefully the best things can happen for Chandler Parsons and Delonte West, obviously, in their different situations. But man, on like the more like what the hell side of things, Kansas and Kansas State.
What the fuck happened there, dude?
What are you guys doing? Like, DeSouza, thank God. I don't know if you put the chair down. I don't know if somebody ripped the chair out of your hands. I don't know if it was God above himself just hanging onto that chair into midair so that you didn't chuck it at somebody and literally go to jail for the rest of your life.
Let's be real, he wouldn't have gone to jail for the rest of his life. He wouldn't
have, obviously. I'm just like being dramatic and exaggerating. It's shit for the sake.
But come on, like, are we
really?
Boys,
this is like Malice at the Palace all over again. I mean, like, maybe it's not. Wasn't like it was just Ron Artest out there smacking dudes.
But that was like that was a mosh pit that would put a rock concert to shame, I think.
Yeah, and there was
like insane.
Like people from the crowd involved, and like women getting pushed on the floor, and like just
it was crazy.
What the hell? And then literally the same day, I'm pretty like 99.99999% sure it was the same day that an Illinois player, and I don't know names, but honestly I kind of like purposely didn't pay attention because I hate giving this kind of stuff recognition because it's more or less like you're doing it for attention. But this Illinois player stepped on a Purdue player's chest. End of a play, obviously Purdue player on the ground, Illinois player, I believe, gathered the ball and then steps on the guy's chest. Mm-hmm. And I believe he's been banned for 2 days. So 2 days? 2 games. Yeah, 2 games. 2-game ban. Yeah. I'm pretty sure is how I read it correctly. Some of the Kansas players have like 12-game suspensions, which again, appropriate, but
no, I'm saying 2 games is not a long enough suspension. Like, I'm appalled that it's that short.
I agree. I think that stepping on somebody's chest is like,
that's really aggressive. Like, please tell me he got teched out of the game.
I'm pretty sure he got ejected. Yeah, I'm again 99.99999% sure he got
I thought
ejected.
when I was watching the video replays of that Kansas game, like that fight, I thought that they were talking about something about stepping on a chest, and then all of a sudden this fucking fight broke out, and I just couldn't pay attention anymore. I was just so baffled. Mm-hmm. Like, what is going on, boys? Are you 14?
It's kind of disgraceful.
100%. It's ridiculous.
Disgraceful, distasteful.
What are your mamas saying?
Dishonorable.
What does your mom say?
Most of you guys are on a scholarship, so you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the bad guy for saying it, but like, I'd be that like dean of students that's like yank their scholarships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a representation of the organization. I just feel like, in a way, both of these situations were taken like a little too lightly.
Or like bench them for longer than 2 games, or even like.
And also, like, what's the personal aspect of it? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, so you ban him for 2 games, he sits, whatever, he doesn't get the stats, he doesn't get the recognition, blah, blah, blah. But does he ever tell the guy sorry?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there any, like, actual personal aspect of, like, making right? Like, what are we allowing these guys to do?
Personal responsibility and accountability and...
Exactly. Those things. So I'm just kind of like appalled. I feel like it's just like more kind of fuel to the like NCAA conversation of like what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right as far as like controlling players and players making money and all those types of things. Like, it's an all-encompassing conversation, even though it's 2 very different issues. I feel like as far as like the NCAA and what they allow and what they don't allow, it's an all-encompassing conversation. So from anywhere from scholarships to fighting at games to not being able to take paid endorsements, all of those things, they all, in my opinion, affect each other. And I really think that the NCAA needs to like take like a good hard look at what they're doing and encouraging.
Well, and the players themselves need to take accountability too. And like, let's just leave the punching to the hockey boys because that's what they do best.
Yeah, it's just pathetic.
If you're gonna fight in a game, play hockey.
Yeah, if you want to fight, go fight. If you could go box. Yeah, you could do MMA. You could do UFC. You could. I mean,
UFC is the same thing.
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many different organizations.
Yes.
You can insert yourself to do those types of activities.
Yeah.
Do that instead.
Yeah. Like,
so. Anyways, that's enough of that bullshit. Moving on to some more exciting things. One big thing that caught my eye was the fact that Travis Etienne from Clemson is going back for his senior season. He decided not to declare for the draft. So this definitely is probably one of like the biggest / first stories of the 2020 / 2021 football season.
Okay.
So,
which is impressive. I honestly, when you mentioned it initially when it first happened, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see it too. I got the notification from ESPN on my phone.
Yeah.
I was like, well, he's staying.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm sure Dabo has a huge influence on that. If I was a male college football player and I had the chance to play for Dabo Swinney, I would probably want to stay there as long as I possibly could too. And NFL money is great, but at the end of the day, I'm one of those people. I just truly support guys. Their education and things like that, but also just seeing through the commitment they made at the collegiate level. How often do people join a team and win a championship that year?
Yeah.
I mean, even look at the Duke, the basketball team with Zion and RJ Barrett and all those guys. They didn't win a championship. Mm-hmm. They were all there for 1 year. It takes more than 1 year to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think that is... I think that was a big deciding factor as far as Travis Etienne's final decision went for himself. Obviously, I'm not him, and I don't know him, so I can't say what his main reasons were. But I'm sure that
outside looking in,
if you got another year to have another shot at winning a championship, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you? You can go to the NFL and win a Super Bowl. There's an opportunity to do that every year with any team.
Yeah.
Pretty much once you get drafted, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Obviously for the, with health and all of those things health and all of those things being, factors, assuming that you're playing at the top of your game and you're healthy all the time. Yeah. The NFL will always be there for you to go chase those things, but you have a limited amount of time in college with eligibility and all of those things. So I say, if you can, do.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I know I did touch on it briefly through the whole thing, but did want to just highlight really quick that Damian Lillard from the Portland Trail Blazers did make history in the NBA, making a 60-plus point game and scoring 10 3-point buckets. So all you James Harden fans can kick rocks because your boy sucks. And my boy is the shit, and you know what time it is. So, here's our interview for today. I hope you guys like it. Miss Casey gets all the credit on this one for roping in this.
I'm so excited for this interview, guys. I just am so excited. He is a wonderful guy. He's funny. I feel like in a lot of
we mentioned his name earlier.
We did, and
if you caught it. Props to you.
I've watched a lot of interviews that he's done, and they didn't really get to dig into who he was, and I think that we did that. I think that you guys are going to see a little bit of different side of him than
other people have given. So, okie dokie. Alrighty, well. I think you should do the honors on this one.
Some people might already recognize who we're on the call, but if you don't.
And for the listeners.
Yeah, for the listeners who can't see. First and foremost, I think you're probably one of my favorite veterans, so we want to say thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Your political affiliation, we just think that it's amazing that you even volunteered to go do that. So thank you.
Supporting our service women and men is huge to us. So definitely want to make sure we first and foremost thank you for that. So
yes.
Yeah, no problem.
But you are 2-time Division II All-American wrestler. You fought in UFC as a heavyweight, currently fighting the Bellator MMA as a heavyweight, and the man with the mythical beard.
Yeah, I know. I'm growing a beard out right now. The mustache might come out, it might not. I'm not sure just yet. But I do change up my facial hairstyles with every fight every now and then. So I'll see what I come out with this time.
Well, so how much weight do you have to cut in order to account for the beard then?
It probably adds an extra 2 pounds.
Yeah.
What was like your inspiration, or like what kind of started you coming up with the idea of changing it for every fight?
Well, to be honest with you, the reason I started the mustache thing is because when I was fighting, I was still in the military, so you couldn't grow any kind of facial hair other than a mustache. So I actually had a fight up in Newtown, North Dakota, and a couple of my teammates at the time just let that mustache grow and see what happens. And so I had one fight there with it, and then I went on to fight a couple more times in Fargo. But then my UFC debut, I just decided to rock it again, and then it kind of just took off. You know, it's funny. People don't even know who I am. They just know me as the mustache guy. Like, my coach here, he's like traveling all over the place. He's got UFC gear. They're like, oh, are you a fighter? He's like, no, I'm a coach. Oh, who did coach? They're like, Tim Johnson. They're like, I don't know if I know him. He's got a big old mustache, heavy. Oh, the mustache guy. Him. Yeah, okay. So that's usually how it goes. And then and I kind of got just bored with doing a mustache, so then I do handlebars or goatee or everything else. So just kind of, because now there's a bunch of other people, a bunch of fighters. Half the roster does mustaches now. I'd like to say that I was the one who brought it back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but I'm wearing an Oregon basketball jersey, and actually the Oregon football program has a coach. His name is Coach Aaron Feld, and he actually has a gnarly handlebars mustache. So it's definitely, it takes a special kind of guy, I feel like, to rock that and kind of be known as like his mustache, I guess.
Yes.
That's the way I always went. Like, I wasn't doing the trendy roll it curls or any of that. I just wanted a big old, hairbrush right there on the caterpillar.
I mean, it comes from the cold winters back home, though, for sure.
Yeah, she's a North Dakota girl too. I don't know if you know that.
Yep, that I do. Yep. So yeah, it keeps it a little warmer.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. You mentioned a lot of like your different, like your Bellator and UFC fights and kind of the things that you faced. Out of all the opponents that you have faced, who do you think hits the hardest?
Hits the hardest? Well, I'd probably have to say my last fight. with these, Vitaly Minakov. Like I was fanboying. Like he's still probably is right up there, like the best heavyweight the UFC never got their hands on. Like, he was ranked like second or third in the world for like 5 years. Like, and yeah, I trained with him before we fought, and I was like, God, this guy's strong. Then we fought, and I'm like, wow, this guy hits really, really, really hard.
Yeah. Oh man. Going, I guess, kind of along that same line, who would you say was one of your favorite fights in your career?
I would say either Marcin Tarbira, who I fought in Croatia, or Alexander Volkov, who I fought in Ireland.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What reasons, guys, your favorite fights?
What's that?
For what reasons? Like, what about fighting them made them, like, was it challenging? Did you have to, like, step your game up and stuff? What about them?
Yeah, like Tibera was, I mean, he was like a super nice guy. Like and generally most of the guys I fight are pretty nice. They just kind of, when we see each other, we're usually pretty cordial. But he like was out of his way nice, like always smiling, shaking hands and stuff. And that fight I was pretty proud of myself for just standing there and boxing, not really doing a wall install, I guess you could say. It's kind of what I'm known for. And
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wears a guy out. I mean, it's tiring. Heavyweights. I mean, we got bellies for a reason. I mean, we don't like moving very much.
So the fact that both of those were overseas, like I know that your career in the UFC, you only fought 2 games or 2 fights here in the States. Everything else was overseas, right? You fought London, Croatia, Ireland.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to go through. Nope. I fought 3 times in America. Yeah. It was I fought in Fairfax, Virginia. That was my USA debut. Then my second fight was in Nashville.
Ooh.
And then my second to last fight was in Long Island.
Oh wow.
So, and now I think maybe I don't fare too well in America. I mean, that's 2 of my losses came in America.
Apparently you need to travel to fight more.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't fight that well. I don't fight that well in New York because I think I've been knocked out 3 times, and all 3 times been in New York.
Oh man.
Yeah, you should probably not fight in New York anymore.
Yeah,
I'll stick to the Midwest or a foreign country.
there you go.
So out of all the places that you have fought in, and like obviously when you go take a fight, obviously it's fighting and sponsorship dollars that take you there. So out of all the places that you've been to, is there any place that you would spend your own money to go back to?
Croatia, without a doubt.
Nice. What was your favorite part about Croatia?
Just it's a cheap Italy.
Okay.
Everyone there speaks some kind of English. They all love Americans because we help them win their independence.
Right.
And yeah, it's just beautiful countryside.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I've never been to Croatia, so
Neither have I.
definitely gonna have to make a note to go check
Yeah,
out.
that's definitely a trip to make.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully paid for sure.
Maybe we can podcast over there.
Yeah. So with that, like, take me kind of back to your transition from UFC to Bellator. Like, there was kind of was there like a confusion with your contract? Were you supposed to have another fight and then you didn't? What kind of happened there? Or did it just expire and you decided that Bellator offered you enough?
My contract expired with UFC. So my last fight I was like, I'm not going to do anything flashy. I'm just going to freaking grind out this rookie fighter and get a win and then try to work on a new contract. Then I can be flashy. Kind of what I got from my agent was that they weren't very interested in re-signing me, even though I was ranked 12th on their roster, which is kind of weird. And I'm coming off a win. So I was like, well, let's go to Bellator. They got not quite the big following as UFC, but they got a fairly decent following, and a little more exposure never hurt nothing.
Right. Well, and I also kind of feel like, I mean, just from my own personal exposure to MMA and all of that stuff, I just feel like the Bellator fans are way more like diehard MMA fans, where UFC fans, and this is no
I understand
jab
what
at
you're gonna
anybody,
say.
but
No, I know what
UFC
you're gonna say.
fans are way more like hype fans. They go for the hype fights. They like those big name fights, the multi-million-dollar fights. Obviously, we just saw one this last weekend. And I just feel like, just like I said, from what I've seen on my own, I just feel like the Bellator fans are just they understand the sport a little bit more and are a little bit more diehard from what.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I mean, there's a smaller pool. But to be a fan of Bellator, you got to dig a little bit more. It's not as in your face as say the UFC is. So the fans that are supporters of, I mean, MMA fans in general love MMA, but there's definitely Bellator fans and UFC fans.
Yeah,
Right.
I've noticed that for sure. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of it too. Like, unless I've followed a fighter,
Yeah.
like I know that, like I knew who you were a little bit kind of before, just because I remember hearing your name come up at MSUM and in the community and stuff. So I kind of knew who you were. So when that name popped, I was like, oh wait, that's a hometown boy. And so like I followed you now into Bellator, and so we're watching a little bit more Bellator and what you're up to. And but one thing I've noticed now with this whole merge that happened with the UFC and Reebok is that you're able to get all of those in your sponsorships and endorsements and things back and in front of everybody, and during like fight weeks you don't have all this regulations. Was that another deciding factor?
No, I think a lot of fans, it does, like the top tier fighters in UFC, that definitely hurt big time. I mean, I knew of a couple of fighters that were getting 150 grand per fight just from sponsorship. And then the Reebok deal came around and then they got 7,500.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an aspect that, it's kind of people just accept it now. The fighters accept it now because there's nothing you can really do about it until the deal, because, they have a contract. Reebok's got a contract with UFC, which is going to be up, I think, next year. I don't know if that's going to continue or not, to be honest, but,
interesting to see, especially with the addition of the ESPN and UFC partnership. That definitely, I think throws a big change into it for a lot of the organizations involved. Obviously, ESPN is gonna point UFC in one direction or another as far as which sponsorships they want them to take.
And it's not, and pay-per-views aren't really a thing. The UFC is getting their money from ESPN no matter what.
Right.
It's not. It doesn't really care about the pay-per-view buys or not. It's like a set, number.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. What did you think of the McGregor fight? Obviously, we're not here to talk about other fighters. We're here to talk about you. But just want to get your quick thoughts on that. Like, what do you think about, his whole transition from all the Khabib drama to the stripping of the titles and then his comeback? And what do you make of, like, that 46-second comeback? Like, is that enough to judge somebody on as far as, what their future is going to be like? Or what do you make of all that?
Cowboy's a legend, but that fight was over before it started.
Right.
Like, he's and Connor's Connor. He's doing anything to stay relevant in the spotlight.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's Connor for you.
Speaking of legends, I spied that you've been in the gym with the likes of Francis Ngannou and like Travis Brown. You've been training with Roy Big Country Nelson. You cornered for him a while back. How is this move from fighting out of Fargo to fighting out of permanently living in Las Vegas and fighting out of Las Vegas now? How has that helped your training? All of those things, training and
relationships, all of that
friends.
Well, the reason I've ended up moving down here, my gym, the Academy of Combat Arts in Fargo there, was doing just totally fine. Would probably stay there, except all my big guys, they kind of retired and went off to different things. So I was training with 185 pounders, and that's not a recipe for success at the heavyweight division. And I was coming out to Extreme Couture out here in Vegas for about 3 years, a couple weeks at a time, and finally just made the move. And as the old adage goes, iron sharpens iron. So every day I'm in there with guys that can take your head off. Got to respect that every day you go to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. To be the best, you have to compete against the best. So I feel like that's number one across the board, no matter what sport you're competing in.
Yeah. I'll actually change my answer to who punches hard. The hardest guy I fought, that's Francis.
Oh, we get a real answer, yes.
Yeah, I figured, like, it was not even a fight, in practice. Like, he's the hardest guy that I've ever been hit by, without a doubt.
Who is it?
Francis Ngannou.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't want to be hit by him either.
No.
No, he's an imposing figure. When he's standing across from you, you start thinking about, God, do I really want to do this?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So, well, I guess since we've gotten, the hardest hitting question, I guess we'll go the opposite direction. But what is like a funny or like a most memorable moment you have from training or fighting of like any of the guys either clowning on you or each other, or is there, when somebody tried to pull a move on somebody and it didn't hit? Is there anything that pops out as you as like a pretty memorable or funny experience in fighting or training?
One of my old training partners tried hitting a standing roll to get out of the way, and I just followed him and kept hitting him. It was just kind of one of those. If you got it on video, it would definitely been funny. Probably one of the weirdest things that happened to me when I fought in London. At about 1 a.m. the night before the fight, the fire alarm went off, so we're all standing outside the hotel till 3 a.m. with those heat blankets around us and stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, that is not an ideal pre-fight night at all.
No.
Stories like that from athletes having, like big tournaments or big events, big fights and things like that, and something completely out of their control happens like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of going along with that, I heard you in an interview, I think it was Vitaly that called you slow and clumsy, and you said that was probably the worst thing that anybody's ever said about you. What is the biggest compliment that you've heard said about you,
especially from another fighter?
Yeah.
Probably that I have a gas tank. Don't let my physique. Hold on, this is. I'm trying to think of the direct quote. Don't let his physique fool you. He has a gas tank.
Nice. Oh no. I think we might have lost him.
Nope. Yeah, did you get that part?
Compliment for sure. Obviously, it speaks to your stamina, your endurance, how overall tough you are as a fighter. I feel like as a former / somewhat athlete currently, if somebody were to compliment me on my gas tank, that would just mean there's no quit in you also. So
yeah.
Look at it. It's a huge compliment either way for sure.
Nope, sorry about that. I'm taking phone calls.
So you are currently coming off the heels of 2 losses and I think an injury, correct?
Yep. My last fight, I ended up having some tears in my MCLs. My right one was about a 70% tear. My left one was about a 20% tear. So I had to take some time off, let them heal, but they're feeling pretty good now.
Great. So how have you changed your fight camp this time around to account for the things that you thought you did wrong that ended up in the losses? I don't really.
Obviously, without giving.
I don't want you to give away too many secrets. But, fight camp.
Yeah, no, I don't think it really changed too much. I just got a different frame of mind, different motivation. Just kind of redig and figure out, what I did and reason I started fighting in the first place.
Yeah, definitely got to dig back to those roots for sure. On the injury thing, obviously, I don't really know how to lead into this, but you'll understand why I'm asking when I ask it. But with the recovery thing, obviously CBD and cannabis are huge components in athletics.
Especially
fighters. Yeah, you took the words literally from my mouth. But is CBD at all something that you use in your recovery? And what are your thoughts on that? If not, what do you think?
I have here and there. There's a funny meme going around. I shared it a while ago that that used to be 15 years ago, how can you tell someone was a fighter? You looked at their ears. Now how you tell is they're trying to sell you CBD oil.
It seems like everybody either has their own CBD company or they're endorsing some sort of CBD product or.
Yeah, it's a physical Bitcoin fucking frenzy that CBD is.
It is. Yeah, it really is. It definitely is.
So with this upcoming fight, after this one on the 21st that you've got coming up, who are you looking to fight after that? And then who would be a dream fight for you? If you could fight anybody, UFC, Bellator, veteran, current.
Obviously towing the line of calling out here. Right. But exactly calling out.
Right, yes.
Let me see. Well, after this fight, I got to renegotiate a contract, so I got to get a win. And let me think. Probably the Black Beast.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I wanted to. When I was with.
Oh, more phone calls. He's a wanted man. Look at him. He's got to ignore all these people for us. Oh, there we go again.
Okay. No. Okay, I got to settle now. Okay. No, when I was on roster, I was supposed to. I probably 3 or 4 times requested to fight him, but I never got my wish.
Oh no. Well, hopefully you get it soon.
Well, they kept giving you all the debut fights.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they kept. A couple of buddies are like, you don't have a nickname. You should be nicknamed the Prospect Killer.
Appropriate.
Yeah,
Appropriate name.
Yeah, that's an AKA that we should throw.
I like
when we
it.
introduce
I
him
like
on the podcast. That's funny. Well, obviously, in this weekend we have some more upcoming fights as far as UFC goes. Obviously, without picking favorites and picking sides, we don't want to get you in too much trouble here. But between Dos Anjos and Chiesa, who do you think is going to take that fight?
Between well, I mean, who do you think is going to take the fight? I'm going to flip the script.
I'm going to take the Brazilian. I like Dos Anjos.
And I'm a Chiesa lover, so he's my dog in the fight there, so I'm gonna have to side with him, I think.
So those are our picks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe Dos.
Yeah.
But Blades, Curtis Blades is fighting Dos Santos. Yeah, I like Curtis too. His wrestling's is next level when it comes to UFC wrestling.
Right. Yeah. I mean, both of those. The whole card is a great card, but both of those matchups, especially, are going to be, in the main, definitely going to be must watch. I feel like, for sure. And then, do you want to ask him the other prediction, or do you want me to?
Well, I'm a little salty about the turnout of who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Aside from the fact that I'm happy that Pats aren't in it, but who's your Super Bowl pick?
I think I can guess your Super Bowl.
My Super Bowl pick? I don't know. I'm just happy Aaron Rodgers is crying.
So wait, will you clarify who your NFL team is then first?
Well, that's obviously the Vikings.
Yeah. I think the Vikings are literally the only Minnesota team that I have never ever been a fan of or cheered for.
Yeah, on our first podcast.
You know what? The Vikings, to be a fan of the Vikings is the definition of being a true fan. We know we're going to lose, and we're going to lose in heartbreak fashion, but we stick with them. Like, people are like, oh, I'm the fan of New England's Patriots. Oh, really? It must be a little tough to fucking root for a team that makes the Super Bowl every fucking other year. Jeez.
Hey, they might be in trouble now, though. There's rumors out of New England. So.
Yeah. And they traded away Belichick's golden boy, Jimmy Garoppolo, and he hated that. Now they're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, my Super Bowl pick is the Niners. I am kind of like you with the Vikings. There have been days I have been very ashamed to say I was a Niners fan, but I still said it.
Yeah. Well, at least you guys have won a handful of Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's true. We got on the quest for 6. So.
I don't know.
All out of questions?
All out of fight questions. Yeah, we have some just random fun ones that we can fire off. I know. So Fancy Ketchup is a Midwest thing. And when I moved out here, I found out about fry sauce.
I'm a huge fry sauce girl.
I'm assuming you found out about fry sauces.
I don't know what fry sauce is. I know Raising Cane's sauce and stuff like that. They got their own their stuff like that. Fry sauce to me is you take mayonnaise and ketchup, you mix it together.
Fancy ketchup. Yeah, fancy ketchup.
Yeah.
Fry sauce is essentially like that, but with relish in it, almost like a Thousand Island dressing.
I can dig that.
Yeah. I get down on it. It's pretty good.
It's so good. It must be a West Coast thing because I feel like there's
is.
a lot of Midwest people and even East Coast people are like, what the fuck is fry sauce? I eat barbecue sauce.
Yeah, no. I wanted fry sauce with that, and I was like, you got fancy ketchup? And what the fuck is fancy ketchup?
Fancy ketchup's delicious.
Yeah. what is your favorite sport outside of the MMA to compete in or that you have competed in?
Well, I haven't done it for years, but I actually went to college for football and did not wrestling. I ended up my second year, I ended up quitting football to wrestle. But my favorite sport that was definitely my worst sport was baseball.
Nice.
Yep.
I like it. So you were sports almost all year round then, if you were playing football, wrestling, and doing baseball.
Nice.
Yep.
What position did you play in baseball?
First base, third base.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. What about football?
Football, middle linebacker, and halfback.
Heck yeah.
Didn't they try to put you somewhere else to college?
No, I was like the second fastest guy in the team, and I was like the average size. And like in high school, I was only like 220, 230, and like I had like 5 guys in my class that were over 250.
That is insane.
Yeah.
In high school?
How old were you when you started wrestling?
What's that?
Were you were in high school when you started wrestling, or had you wrestled before then?
I started wrestling when I was 5.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
He's quitting football to go wrestle ended up being like a good path to go down.
Yeah. Well, my first year of school was I played football, didn't have much fun. The college wrestling coach was like, "Well, why don't you try wrestling?" So the first year I did football and wrestling, and I ended up just doing wrestling my sophomore year.
Nice. What would you tell a young athlete if like they were asking you for advice on they want to start a career in MMA? Where would you tell them to start, or how would you tell them to go about being the most successful that they could?
I tell them to get a wrestling background and that don't focus on one sport. Be a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah. I think that's the number one piece of advice I hear from any professional athlete in any sport is never ever to stick to one sport.
Yeah.
Yep.
I completely agree with that.
Yep, they all carry over into some realm, and you don't get burnt out.
Right, yeah, the coordination, the discipline, all of that stuff, going to practice on time, all of that stuff, it's all going to translate no matter what category you're in. Yeah. So that's good advice.
Yes. One more, I think, to wrap it up. I know that I'm dying to know as a heavyweight fighter, what does your diet look like through camp, and then what does like a day of fight diet look like for you?
Well, I actually do have to diet because I'm a big boy. So about every fight camp, I got to lose about 15, 20 pounds. Even if I didn't have to lose that, I eat super clean. Ground turkey, ground chicken, turkey bacon, eggs, and rice and vegetables, broccoli and asparagus and stuff like that. Outside of camp, it's definitely not that. But day of the fight, I only eat I wake up, I don't eat at all in the morning. About 5 hours before the fight, I will go to Subway or Jimmy John's and just get a sandwich to make it nice and calm, keep everything nice and no disrupts, so I don't get disrupted in any way.
Yeah, right.
And do you find that kind of do you have nerves per se that you just aren't hungry, you're just worried about, you don't want to throw up, you don't want anything to go wrong, you just
all the above.
Do you have a typical meal that you usually eat after every fight, or is it different after every fight?
You're lucky if you get a meal after a fight.
Right.
Yeah, usually everything's closed, and I mean, you just kind of run around trying to find anything that's open.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that definitely answers that question. I would probably be doing the same thing. I mean,
yes.
I know I have competed in bodybuilding shows, and that's definitely how it is at the end of a bodybuilding show. It's 11 o'clock at night. You're in usually some small town in some random place somewhere, and there's maybe McDonald's open at the end of the night. So I know how that is. But yeah, well, I think that's all we have for you. We got your Super Bowl prediction and your UFC prediction for the weekend. So
the last thing I think is, where are we able to catch this fight on the 21st of February?
Exactly.
And what's going on?
I believe this one will be on Paramount Network.
Okay.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that this card's on Paramount.
try and share that and let everybody know who listens that if they're interested in watching or streaming it, or hopefully I'm sure there's someplace online somebody can hack something or other and.
Jailbreak the feed.
Yes, exactly. Well, again, we thank you so much for your time. It's been so awesome chatting with you, and if you ever want to come on again to promote another fight, you just let us know.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tim. Have a great night.
Have a good night and good luck.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.
Tim Johnson, former UFC fighter, current Bellator fighter.
He is such a cool guy. I hope you guys like that because that was really exciting.
He's so sweet.
He's such a nice guy. So good luck to you, Tim, on your upcoming fight. What is it, February
21st?
Yep. So make sure you guys get to Paramount Network and
we'll update you with the episode that week.
Yeah, we
of
will.
His fight,
Yeah.
where to find it.
Yep, we will.
I think one thing we missed was his socials, where to find Tim at. He's on
yeah,
he's on
T-Bear
Instagram.
Tim.
Yep, he's on Instagram and Twitter as T-Bear Tim.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook it's just Timothy Johnson.
Yeah. So go find him. Go follow.
Yes, go find him, go
He's
follow.
a cool guy. And thank you to Tim for
He has
coming
the
on.
best beard.
Best beard
I've
ever.
And I love that it changes every fight too. He literally changes it every fight. You never know what he's gonna come out with, and so I'm excited to watch on the 21st to see.
That's actually
what's gonna go on.
Definitely a good point. I forgot about that. Like I'm just excited to see a fight. I forgot all about the beard.
Yeah.
The beard is a bonus. But okay, so to close out the episode, just a couple again culture related things that we have kind of been following for you guys. Last episode we talked about Katie Sowers with the San Francisco 49ers, and she's making history again. She is going to be the first woman coach ever to be a part of the Super Bowl in the history of the Super Bowl.
I'm getting goosebumps.
So I know.
Thinking about that right now.
I know.
So cool.
So that's really special.
Props to you, Katie.
Props to Katie Sowers. Like I said, we mentioned that on the last episode, along with Sarah Thomas, the line judge for the NFL. But Katie obviously has helped her team get to the next level. She is an offensive assistant, so she's up in the booth for the 49ers, and it's going to be exciting to see what influence she has on their Super Bowl outcome, because she has a chance at making history again if they are able to win it. So definitely kind of wanted to just take an opportunity to kind of circle back to that story from episode 1, and let you guys know kind of the progression that was just made already since the last time we talked about her. So that's kind of sometimes how quickly stories can develop around the sports world. So that's why we're kind of always plugging you guys to share your stories with us, and share things that you want us to talk about, because things are so fast moving that it's sometimes hard to keep up. So
speaking of fast moving,
Carrie Champion, fast moving, man. This girl, she's fast moving because she is leaving ESPN. She hasn't really announced what broadcasting and what analytics potentially projects she has coming up. But she was on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And she was talking about how she's just looking forward to a little bit more freedom with social issues. One of the things that she said in the interview that kind of stood out to me was, "What do you want me to tweet? What do you need me to tweet?" So she's kind of like the young Jemele Hill. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of the sports fans remember Jemele Hill being on SportsCenter as the very very strong black woman in analytics and sports media. And I think a lot of us know that Jamel had a pretty rocky separation with ESPN. But she and Carrie Champion talked about this on the All the Smoke episode as well, that Jamel made it a point to let Carrie know that they were not going to be pitted against each other, even though Carrie was kind of basically like coming up and filling Jamel's role in ESPN as like the front black woman on TV. And so I just think it's kind of cool that Carrie is actually kind of doing the same thing Jamel did and kind of just stepping away. She announced her resignation like pre-drop of the hat. I believe she's finishing out a certain number of days and then she's leaving. So I'm excited to just kind of see where like her journalistic freedom takes her and her sports connections. She is one of those people who really cares about like the stories she tells about the athletes and like how she portrays them. So she's definitely kind of a role model to me and us in that way as far as
for the show especially.
Yeah, definitely as far as like just respecting the athlete's story, and again kind of like we've talked about, just that they're more than athletes. There's a lot more to their lives and what they go through.
Not ever wanting to show them in a light that is going to hinder or set back or negatively affect their career in any aspect, professionally, personally, anything.
Right, and at the same freedom level, give them the opportunity to talk about things that are important to them, you know.
To tell their story.
Yeah, exactly. And Carrie Champion was kind of talking about that in the All the Smoke episode about, just like the guys in the NBA and other sports that are kind of talking about like their mental health issues and things like that. Being able to tell that story in an accurate way without making these guys sound like big babies, you know what I mean? And I think that that's really special to a lot of the players, that they have somebody that respects them and their story that much, but can also tell the story in a way that makes them interesting and, but also
Miss Champion's a champion for the
athletes. She is a champion for the athletes, and I just adore her. Obviously, I love the All the Smoke podcast. They've already had D-Wade on there. They've had Kobe Bryant on there. So definitely check them out. But just wanted to touch on Carrie Champion just because I'm excited to kind of see like where she goes and what she comes up with after ESPN. She's kind of one of those women that like can't really be stopped. And it's going to be kind of cool to see what projects she comes up with to tell more athletic stories, more sports stories. So keeping with the theme of the women here, one more story that jumped out at me this week, and I'm really excited because I love this team. Outside of my Yankees, you guys, I think a lot of you guys know I'm a big Giants fan, San Francisco Giants. And I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, but they have made history by hiring Alyssa Nakken as the MLB's first ever assistant coach.
That's dope.
Which is so huge. Like,
that is
an assistant
rad.
coach. You're literally in the dugout with these guys. And, like, I paused on that, like, not purposely, but, like, just because it kind of, like, blew my mind that she's, like, the only woman in the dugout.
I don't think it's so much that she's the only woman in the dugout, that she is the only woman that they trust to be in the dugout, to be calling plays, to be behind the scenes, in the training.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So, like I said, that story caught my eye. I don't, unfortunately, know a lot about her background. It was, like I said, just the story that kind of coming across my social media. I actually think I saw it on Instagram. Coming across my social media.
We'll have to do some research and maybe we can touch on that more next.
Yeah, definitely will be. And of course, more as MLB comes back around come April and all of those things, we will definitely be following her. Hopefully she will be making history in more ways.
Help us get her on the show, y'all.
By helping her team. Yeah, get her on the show. That would be dope. If anybody has any San Francisco ties, just at her. At Alyssa Nakken. I don't know if that's her ad, but let's start with that. So, like I said, just kind of keeping with the female empowerment theme, talking about women in sports and women that love sports and women that are a part of helping athletes tell their stories and kind of all different aspects of it here. But again, we touched on it last week, but just that's kind of where we see ourselves in this niche, and not to necessarily think of ourselves too highly or anything like that, but obviously being women on a sports podcast that we want to be successful, here we are. Yeah. So we got to talk about these other women because they deserve their props, just like we would want other women to talk about us, and obviously men too. But if we achieve cool things, we would want other people to talk about us and give us our credit when it's due. So
100%.
Just doing that.
Everybody says it's such a cliche movement, positivity, and whatever, but it really, it speaks volumes. Like, when you support other people, other humans, other people who enjoy the same things as you or trying to do the same things as you, yes, there's an aspect of competition and you want to be successful. However, you cannot be successful without
the best people
in place, without, you have to, I just think that support and
acknowledgement,
respect, and it just goes all hand in hand with being successful in something that you're doing. And
I agree.
There's no point in hating on somebody else or discrediting their accomplishments
or being jealous,
or just not just choosing not to mention it when it's something that big like that.
Right. I agree. Well, yeah, exactly. And I kind of want to be a place where those conversations can happen, and those little guys, I feel like, can feel like they're seen, and their achievements are actually real achievements that people are paying attention to, because we are.
We think it's rad.
And obviously not just women in sports, but like I said, any minority, any group that is lesser than or anything like that who are achieving awesome things in sports, those are the types of things we want to draw attention to. So the little bit of that more culture related, not necessarily athletes or organization related stories that we are putting after our interviews, those are things, again, that we would love for you guys to help contribute to. So if there's any people in your favorite sports organizations, or lesser known athletes or lesser known personnel people that you know of that are out there doing great things, let us know about them, because those types of stories are to me, it's back to those Tom Rinaldi stories, where you're sitting at college game day just blubbering your eyes out over some story that is you don't know anybody in this story. It's not even your favorite team or anything like that, but it's just such an amazing sports story, or a story that revolves around the love of sports, or a story that revolves around a coach or a coach's family, or what have you. There's so many different things that especially Tom Rinaldi covers, and so many different stories that revolve around the sports world in general, that I think, like you said, they just need to be talked about. We just want to give those people their 15 seconds of fame and kind of let them know that somebody out there appreciates what they're doing and what they're a part of. So that's what we're here to do with that segment. But in closing, just a really cool episode. In closing of a really cool episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you guys our way too early Super Bowl predictions. Obviously, they're not gonna change much, but as it gets, I guess February 2nd isn't that far away.
Yeah, no, it's next weekend.
Okay, so they're not way super early, but
we have 2 weeks off, and then it's February 2nd.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. So here's our Super Bowl predictions.
10 days,
Yeah. Jesus, I can't believe it's almost 9 days. Oh man, that's a conversation for another day.
Yikes.
Who you got?
I couldn't really care less, if I'm being totally honest.
Kansas City then, I guess.
No, I'm sure San Francisco is gonna win it.
I hope so. That's my pick, San Francisco. You guys saw that in the Tim Johnson interview, and you saw the interview. You know that already. You're like, why are you saying this again? Stupid. Yeah, Niners. If you don't care, then I care for both of us.
You can care. I'm just gonna show up for the snacks.
Of course.
Snacks in the tight pants. And the halftime concert. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Why don't you conduct the next prediction?
We have Blades. I think I'm saying that right. I'm terrible with how to say it, but the Dos
Tim
Santos.
said it on the interview.
Yeah, and I tried to pick it up, and I made a mental note of it, and that
then
post-it got
lost
lost. So,
Misplaced.
Blades and Dos Santos. I think I'm gonna go Dos Santos.
Me too. Dos Santos for sure.
Yeah, he's a beast. Dos Anjos, not the same as the fight before, but Dos Anjos and Chiesa, Michael Chiesa.
Dos Anjos.
And I'm going with my boy Chiesa.
Okay. I love it when we pick different ones.
I know, me too. And and that honestly is just based on I love both of them. I have mad respect for both of those fighters. I don't think that I really have anything negative
No,
to say.
even neither.
I just really, really enjoy watching Chiesa come out and perform. He shows up every time. He puts on a good show. He is fucking crazy.
Tell you what, both of those are going to be great fights, though. Both those
Yes,
Brazilian guys are fucking
yes.
crazy.
Yes.
So, definitely going to be exciting fights for both of those. That whole card on the 25th is really good. There's one or two chick fights, I think, on there, too. So,
and I knew who it was too, and I made a mental note of that. And we are terrible people for not actually mentioning them. We just did 10 minutes on how women empowerment.
I know, and then we're not. Oh man,
we're fucking two-faced, apparently.
we dropped the ball on that one.
Well, we'll follow up with that next week.
We'll
leave
follow
with that.
up on that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good card.
It is gonna be a good card. Yep,
Um,
I've got both the Brazilians. And then we talked about it a little. Yeah, we did. We did talk about it a little bit at the beginning of the episode. But the Oregon versus Oregon State women's basketball game is also, I think, Friday. It's in Corvallis, and I can't remember the number, but Oregon hasn't won there in quite some time. I want to say 7 years.
Wow.
Hasn't won.
So they've got to show up and prove something. They've got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, Sabrina Ionescu has to lead the Mighty Ducks into battle. And obviously, I would be blasphemous to pick against my Ducks. So I'm taking my Ducks, but it is going to be a hell of a game.
I am just excited to watch the rivalry unfold. The more I watch Oregon sports, especially when they play each other, the more I like it. It reminds me of home.
Well, like we said, they're both
camaraderie and
ranked. So,
rivalry.
like you said, it's just going to be a great game in
Yeah.
general, let alone, picking anybody.
Yeah.
So, but you do have to give a prediction.
Oh. Probably the Ducks.
Okay.
I mean, I'll go with the Ducks.
Okay. Smart girl.
Yeah.
Smart girl.
It's hard to vote against
She
that
might
green and
kick her
gold,
out
if
if
I'm
she
being
picked
totally
Oregon.
honest. It was
Yeah,
nice
you're
that I
green
just
and gold
rolled.
through and
It was,
through.
and it was nice that I just, I moved here and I just
Rolled right
I mean, really,
into
it started
yellow.
when Nick and I got together, but started watching some Oregon games together, and so
Nick
the
is her
green
husband,
and
by the way.
yes, the green and gold, it just rolled right into each other.
We just broke so many people's hearts.
Oh wow.
I'm single.
Yeah. Yeah, you are single, ready to mingle.
Single as a Pringle, ready to mingle.
I love Pringles.
I like the pizza Pringles.
Those are good. Have you had the dill pickle ones? Those are
I don't
alright.
like pickles.
Old Dutch, if you want to send me a snack, that'd be great. Because I can't get Old Dutch chips here.
Shout out Old Dutch. Send my girl something.
I've been tagging those bastards for a while, and they still ain't sent me shit.
Cheap skates.
Probably.
All right, last
Clippers
prediction.
Lakers. Who you got?
Well, I was mentioning earlier in the episode that people were saying they think that that the Clippers versus Lakers is going to be the Western Conference Finals. And I don't want that to happen because they play each other so many goddamn times during the season.
Yeah.
And I think that right now, one would be silly to choose against the Lakers. So I'm going to take the Lakers. I chose the Lakers against the Rockets, and they served me right. So I'm going to trust them again.
I'll trust the Lakers to take it.
Yeah. Kawhi has been sitting a lot for the Clippers. I think it's his knee or something was the last injury update that I saw on him. And so I don't know if he'll be back for that game or not. So I think it's safe to assume that the Lakers have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction on that. And yeah, we have quite a few predictions this week.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting episode 3.
We gotta start getting some Timberwolves predictions in here. I gotta start paying attention to their schedule a little bit more. And I honestly
You heard
just
it here first, people. More Timberwolves predictions.
yeah. I just feel like, I mean, we've just got the West Coast so heavily represented, and I'm from the Midwest. I feel like I need a little more. I need to bring a little more to the table here.
Okay. Well,
I'll try.
that's on
I'll
you.
try my hardest.
That's on
All right.
you. Later, Gators.
Deuces.